This lesson we're going to be looking at JavaScript switch. In the earlier lesson we saw that we had conditional statements and we could apply else ifs in order to equal and equate for other values and apply other conditions. So we could check to see if this condition is true and then check to see if this condition is true, and if we needed to we could add additional else ifs. And sometimes it's not the case, and it's not as neatly laid out where you need a little bit more functionality. So for instance, and we were passing in this value, and I'm actually going to get rid of that. We can also pass in a value using switch, and we'll just call it VAL, and I'll just output it in there as well. So we're going to get rid of the condition statement, so I'll show you another way that we can output that message value. And then we apply the condition within the brackets, and then again we've got those curly brackets in order to execute the block of code. So essentially what we're looking for is a match for the expression, so it's a comparison, and the expression that we're passing in is whatever value is contained within here. So that's going to be the value that we're passing in. So if this was a value of 1, we would look below, and we've got the ability to do cases. So we can do case 1 like this, and then execute code accordingly. So this would be message. So we'd be calling out to the message function was 1, or whatever we want to pass in. And then what we do is we break that block of code, and we can also set a default at the end as well. And if we do a default, that automatically will, if none of the cases match, then it's going to automatically execute the default. And the default will be, so let's see how this works. So refresh, we click it, and we see it was 1 because we're looking for a value of 1. So in this case, let's update this, and we'll update it to val and refresh. Nothing was matched. And if we go into here and if we do check, and remember the string value that we're looking for and we're passing in for that particular condition is 1, so we see that was 1 updates. And this is where we get that flexibility. So if we're looking for a case where it matches hello, then we can say hello, and we can output our code, execute our code. Don't forget to break it, because if you don't break it, then it will automatically go into the default. And don't forget there's a semicolon there at the end. So let's refresh, try that out. And in this case, whenever it matches the case value, then it's going to execute the code that's accordingly to that. So we can have any number of cases. Let's just create another one. We'll call that 2. And then this one, whatever code we want to execute, we can output here. And then don't forget to break that as well. So let's try that out. So refresh. And this time within check, I'm going to pass in the value of 2. And we can see that the output changes. If I click the button, it matches this case and it outputs that code accordingly. You can also update and execute certain code blocks. So let's say, for instance, I look for the word to or case to. So let's refresh that. And this time we'll try check. We're going to pass in a string value of 2, and we can see output 2. So it is able to pick that information up, and even if we do check 2 like this, it will out 2. Nothing was matched because it's looking for a string value and we didn't pick up a string value. So we could have just as easily added another case for the numeric 2, and let's try that last one out. So output 2. So we can have any number of cases. We can have executing common blocks of code and then whatever else we want to happen. So we can console log out here as well was a value of 2 and save that. So now every time we execute any one of those, we see that we execute that console message. And you can add as many statements there as needed. So go ahead and try this one out for yourself as well. And coming up, we're going to look at loops.